live.
Oh, sweet. All right.
Mr. Danger. It is exactly 3 o'clock, so I believe that is our cue to begin our little excursion here.
Oh, yes, indeed.
on this.
Am I doubled
So-
up? Am I like weird? Am I like?
No, you're good. As long as you keep your volume coming out of your phone really low and we're just talking through Zoom, we're good. So, and we are live, we're recording. So,
And we're live.
we're live. Well, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Double Trouble with J&G. My name is Jack.
And I am Gunner, supposedly.
And every week on Friday at 5 p.m. Central, we come together and we talk about art, life, and everything in between, usually with a couple shots of bourbon in our system. However, this week's a little bit different, and we'll get to that why. Gunnar, what are you drinking today?
Today, I am... Ooh, dude, should I crack open a cold one?
I think you should crack open a cold one for the boys. I think that's what we need right now.
Okay, I think as I'm running to the fridge to go crack open a cold one, I think you should maybe talk about... Go ahead and tell people about this, switching up the order a little bit. Tell us about this 4-4-48 that you've been doing.
Exactly. Okay. So this weekend, beginning at Friday at noon Pacific, this is the reason why I'm drinking Hint water, this little hint of taste in this nice water. Very tasty. I am running 4 miles every 4 hours for a total of 48 hours with my good friend, Jake Wagner. Now, this is a little bit of a strange challenge because, as you can imagine, there is not a lot of sleep that can occur when you're running every 4 hours, 4 miles for a total of 48 hours. And you're also probably not running very fast, which our first was at like a 10-minute mile pace. So we're gonna go nice and slow. We're taking it easy. I'm really, running down the road, trying to loosen my load. I honestly also do have 7 women on my mind. So to take one page out of the Eagles playbook there. Not the Eagles you're thinking of, but yeah. So that's what we're doing this weekend. Hopefully we'll finish up around 9:30 on Sunday morning. Shotgun one of those sweet Coors Lights that Gunnar appears to be drinking right now, go to bed for about 24 hours. So yeah, I'm excited. We just finished the first leg, and the second leg is coming up at 4 Pacific or 6 Central, which is where our normal time zone is. So yeah, we're having a good time with it.
Can you just briefly tell people the times that you'll be doing these things?
I would be happy to. So we have runs starting, noon today, 4 p.m. today, 8 p.m. today, and then midnight, 4 a.m., 8 a.m., noon, 4 p.m., 8 p.m., midnight, 4 a.m., 8 a.m. So every 4 hours.
Brutal, dude.
The 4 a.m. on Sunday morning is something that's going to be very challenging because that will be sort of our second light sleep night, as you can imagine. Pretty uncomfortable, pretty shitty, but we're gonna push through it. We're honestly loving it. I haven't felt this good about doing something athletic since my rowing days in high school, so this is gonna be fun.
Now, talk about this as a transition. It seems like that requires a lot of endurance, correct, Amundo?
It did. It will, I guess.
Just bringing us back to the top of our order, endurance. We haven't missed a week here on J&G.
This is our 7th straight week of Double Trouble with J&G. So I am pretty proud of us. Our viewership has grown to, several million viewers now. So right. we're here for the content for the people, we got a lot riding on this, and this is our only option. Neither of us have day jobs. So we're happy to be here. We have no other marketable skills whatsoever.
But I think that's pretty impressive. I think a lot of people set up and are like, oh, we're gonna do this thing and we're gonna start it up and we're gonna
make a podcast, man.
7 weeks in a row, that's pretty impressive.
I'm proud of us, and I think part of our model here on J&G is that we only go for a half hour once a week. We're not trying to overdo it on content. We're not trying to load any people that are maybe interested in the show. We're not going to load you up with content and just pump stuff from our entire stream of consciousness on a day-to-day basis. We're going to try to bring you fresh, new, original ideas every single Friday about, art, life, and everything in between. So that's really what we're here for. And we feel like we can't do that unless we limit ourselves to 30 minutes of content a week. So that's why we're here.
And for the most part, we've been, we record the videos, we put them up on YouTube. That's where, you know, millions of, hungry fans are like searching for our content, right? But we also record these live every week at, Friday at 5 p.m. Central Time.
Exactly.
And, we've been doing this on Clubhouse. Now, Jack, how many times besides J&G have you opened up Clubhouse in the last?
I literally never use Clubhouse. I feel like Clubhouse, as well as maybe some other things that we're gonna talk about, including NFTs, have sort of had this wave right in sort of the early April, but I guess primarily February, March era, and have really died down as we're getting kind of closer to summer. Do you have any ideas why that might be?
Well, I have like this crazy theory. So I got into it because I saw the app. Oh my God, there's a bird chirping right outside my window.
I can hear your bird chirping right outside your window. And this is going to go raw and unedited to YouTube. I'm just going to take this recording and this shit's going straight to YouTube. So bird and all, baby.
So I was using Clubhouse for the art community, and there's still like countless like rooms that are going on that are talking about the arts, including this one, which is talking about art life and everything in between.
Exactly.
However, at a certain point, there was a seismic shift in the Clubhouse landscape where all the art rooms started talking about NFTs.
Oh, baby. Tell me more about these NFTs. I heard I could buy an NFT of Zion dunking. Does that have any value?
Oh my God. I like am now refusing to talk about NFTs as like an institution.
Oh my goodness.
So I'm like just not even going to entertain it. But basically, I did a couple shows with NFTs and, went into a lot of Clubhouse talks where I was like pitching the idea for the show and talking with people and seeing how to market them, blah, blah, blah. But, I realized like that sort of NFT hype train was really at its peak about, 2 weeks ago. And since then, it's been on a steady decline. And I just recently read an article that was talking about an NFT market crash that's sort of going on right now.
Oh,
yeah. Where, people are having trouble reselling their NFTs.
That was one of the draws of NFTs, correct? Was that you could purchase these things, then you could resell them. And it was sort of this fluid marketplace for digital art.
Yeah. Yeah. But it was some place where like the average price of an NFT was like 10,000 at one point. And now it's all the way down to like 1,000,
Wow. So major market crash.
Major market crash. And, just like looking at it through my own personal lens and my experiences and where I'm at in life, I just moved back to New York and, I have some things in the works and I'm going around. Like today I did like a whole gallery tour, just like hopping galleries on the Lower East Side. And, I like when that's available, people don't want to be like looking on their fucking computers and like online viewing rooms and stuff. So I think like what you're seeing is things are opening up, the vaccines are coming out, and so digital spaces are becoming less and less relevant,
Bingo. That was my overarching concern about Clubhouse NFTs and maybe not necessarily cryptocurrency, because I think cryptocurrency is very much here to stay, considering it's sort of stateless and untraceable, and it has a lot of more privacy considerations than maybe other things do. But it does seem like, why choose digital when you can go physical, when vaccine rollouts accelerating? Even here in California, we're seeing the loosening of restrictions. That's a good segue into our next topic. But we're really seeing even the most sort of the states that have been hit really hard, like New York and California, with high population densities, as these vaccines continue to be rolled out, things are really opening up pretty quickly. And I think we're going to see it almost and President Biden mentioned too, by 4th of July, hopefully we can kind of have a fun American holiday with all of our friends and family, and everyone can kind of see each other again. And, we can kind of burn the masks when we get, the okay from a certain Dr. Fauci to do so. So looking forward to it. But yeah, it seems like the NFT craze is a little bit been driven by quarantine and people getting bored in quarantine. And now,
Now, speaking of that, you've been actually able to, Stanford shut down completely for COVID and no one was allowed on campus. And then they allowed like some international students to stay, some people with like, other things, but
Special circumstances, essentially. Yep.
special circumstances. But now you are back on campus.
I
It
am.
is spring quarter. Tell
It is
us
spring
what.
quarter, dude. So we can gather with like our little household with our pod of 8 people, and that was that. We've been kind of seeing each other and not been able to interact fully, totally. But on Wednesday was the first time when we could, kind of gather maskless, and we've been tested like I've gotten tested like 6 times in 2 weeks. You're twice a week you're getting tested for the Rona. We're not really leaving campus. There's a lot of rules in place, and I understand why they're there. And are they a little strict? Yes, they are for a college student that wants to party and have a good time. But yeah, so I was able to gather with my pod on Wednesday, and we had a roaring good time. We violated quiet hours, and then decided, you know what? There's a time-honored Stanford tradition of fountain hopping. So I said, hey guys, let's go fountain hopping at night. Why don't we? So we went to, so I climbed to the top of the Claw, which I had not done before, which is a prominent fountain feature in White Plaza of Stanford's campus, and had a grand old time. And now here I am 2 days later trying to run 48 miles in 2 days. So I refrained from a little bit of the massive messy alcohol decisions that some of my friends might have made, but we had a good time with it. And yeah, Stanford's campus is definitely showing some signs of life. It's not quite back to normal yet. There's generally an air of concern, I would say, which warranted. That's fine. However, it seems like by the fall, Stanford will pretty much be back to normal. We'll be back to the campus that we all know and love.
So sick. And that's when I'll
for
be back.
for Mr. Donjay's return. The prodigal son will return in all his art world form back to the campus of Stanford University.
Yeah,
we're very excited to have you back.
The neighborhood system. That's
the neighborhood system. They did. Stanford did accelerate their neighborhood system pretty much down to the most recent one, or to as quickly as they could. Which gives me pause, which is another thing that an Oxford comma does. Please excuse these awful transitions. Wow, I'm bad at this.
Jack, who gives a fuck about an Oxford comma? I've seen those English dramas too. They're cruel. So if there's any other way to spell the word, it's fine with me.
Why would you speak to me that way? Especially when I always said that I haven't got the words for you. All your diction dripping with disdain.
Look, check your handbook. It's no trick. Take the chapstick and put it on your lips. Crack a smile. Adjust my tie. Know your boyfriend, unlike other guys.
Why would you lie about how much coal you have? Why would you lie about something dumb like that?
Why would you lie about anything at all? First the window and then it's to the wall. But Lil Jon, he always tells the truth.
Yes, he does. And as we say on this show,
I actually have a crazy tie-in. Lil Jon, dude, I saw him at a Chick-fil-A in the Atlanta airport, and it was the most surreal experience I've ever had. And this is why. And let me explain this. Let me break this moment down for you. Because here I am. I'm like 10 years old. I'm with my backpack on. I'm like waiting in line at Chick-fil-A. And I see this cultural phenomenon standing in front of me. I also see, weirder than that, no one around me is doing anything or like making any sort of scene. It would be like if Justin Bieber, right, was standing right in front of you and no one noticed. And I was
Did you just liken Lil Jon to Justin Bieber?
I did.
Okay, I think fair enough. Please continue though.
I was like, get low, that was like, oh yeah.
Get low. Oh yeah.
I was freaking the fuck out. I was like, does no one see that Lil Jon is standing right in front of us at Chick-fil-A? But
unbelievable.
That's
cultural icon. And you know what we say here, especially about the Oxford comma here on J&G, is it's either a reference
or you don't get it.
And that's how we roll in these parts. So as I've referenced before, the 4x4x48, that's my little challenge that I'm embarking upon with my good friend. I'd like to shout him out, Mr. Jake Wagner. We are, doing this little journey together, and we're having a great time doing it. But that ties in, I guess, to a broader topic, and kind of to get into the meat and potatoes of what we wanted to talk about today is the challenges we set for ourselves.
Right.
I want to ask you, Gunnar, so like, why do we embark upon journeys like this? Like, why do we try to do really difficult things? So can you give us an example maybe of your own life and like why you're doing it? Something really challenging.
Yeah. I think everyone sort of like sets up these goals for themselves, and you think about like New Year's resolutions, right? Where they're like,
Sure.
okay, I'm going to for this year, I'm going to get a six pack, right? Or I'm going to gain like 10 pounds, or they could be like mental things as well. Something that I've done specifically. Oh, that's interesting, because I've done this many times where I'm like, okay, I'm going to learn how to play guitar. And that is like the challenge I set up for myself. I almost
Sure.
always fail. However, when I end up meeting that challenge, when I say like, okay, I'm going to do a gallery show in New York, and like I, all gas, no brakes, do everything in my power to get to
Sure.
that.
Sure.
The reward is so much sweeter, and that it's like just the act of making something and reaching that point to where you feel accomplished. um it reminds me of an L. Ron Hubbard quote from Scientology. He says
Interesting turn on that one. Okay.
he
I believe
says,
I believe I do know the quote though. It's
oh,
production is the basis of morale,
and it's either a reference.
or you don't get it, and that's just how it goes.
What does that mean to you, Jack?
What does production is based on morale mean to me? L. Ron Hubbard's a kook, and we can agree that we have some fascinating. As you get deeper into like the Scientology, right, it gets crazier and crazier. But what's
Yeah.
interesting is the general framework of a lot of what Scientology is not, it's not like aliens are coming back to like save the world and L. Ron Hubbard got abducted by the aliens or whatever. It's like business advice essentially, and it's
Yeah.
actually pretty damn good business advice when you kind of look at it and you look at what's being taught in MBA programs across the country today, and what general business advice has worked for the last 100 years. It's a fascinating tool, really. Um, I think, yeah, I think there's definitely things to be looked at there, but I think there is something to be said about like slaying a dragon, and I think
Yeah.
production is the basis. Morale has to do with slaying a dragon. That's a there's a reason why all of our stories and all of our legends and pop culture are about a hero maybe down on their luck, or someone that has something to prove. Think of how many Vince Vaughn movies you've seen where Vince Vaughn plays a loser and he needs to slay his dragon to become successful and get the girl. I mean, this is a movie trope we see over and over and over and over again.
Yeah.
And hopefully, as we watch those, we can derive some sort of inspiration from it, or we can learn more about ourselves and what it takes to slay our own dragons. And sometimes, if we don't have any dragons immediately in front of us, some people have more dragons than others. Sometimes we have to create dragons to slay. I think that's vitally important to our health and our mental
So
health and physical health.
so this 44448, whatever. How does that relate to you? How does that relate to your dragon? What does it
Sure.
mean to you, especially during this unprecedented time?
If I had a nickel for every time I've heard the word unprecedented times, I'd be a rich man.
Um,
Um, ever since in high school, I was a lightweight rower, and I loved it. I loved rowing. I loved just the brutal, blunt athleticism, like not even athleticism, just the blunt force trauma that you were imparting upon your body every single day, and how just raw of a sport it was. My freshman year of high school, my coach came in front of our team, our novice team, and said, "Gentlemen, rowing's a pain contest, and whoever can withstand the most pain will win the race." And that stuck with me. I mean, here I am 8 years later, still talking about it. Right? That is the idea behind that sport, and that's what I loved about it. And I think most endurance sports, you don't have to be the biggest, baddest person. You just have to be the most mentally tough, and that's why I'm doing this. Because I think mental toughness and training your mind is even more important than training your body. Being in good physical health is, of course, vital. It helps your brain function. There's numerous benefits beyond just feeling satisfied with your appearance. But I think just being able to have the confidence to say, you know what, this shit's really freaking hard, and I'm going to go out there and do it. I think that's vital. I think you have to have that in your day-to-day life.
Dude, that's huge. Well, okay. Hold audience, please hold those two thoughts in your minds. This idea of a feat of strength, something that's an effort, but it's worth the reward at the end. Hold that in your mind, and then also hold that reference to Vince Vaughn, because those will both come back later as we get into our big announcements. But before I have a big announcement, Jack has a big announcement. We got some big announcements for today's show. But just one last thing on this sort of I wanted to tell a story of John Henry, the man who, they said he was the strongest man in the land, right? And there was this task set up. They were like, "Oh, John Henry, if you're the most, fast and the most strong, like, then you'll be able to beat our new invention." And he was like, "What?" And it was the steam engine. And so they had a contest to see who would win. John Henry putting down the stakes of the railway
The railroad
tie,
spikes. Oh yeah.
or the steam engine, who would win. And good old John Henry, he put up a fight and he got all the way to the end and he actually beat the train. However, after all the force that he put into it, he sort of like put in everything he could to beat this one thing, and he ended up tuckering out and dying on the last spike. So, it's sort of like the tortoise and the hare. It's almost like it's a marathon, not a sprint.
Marathon, not a sprint. I like that. Don't tuck it. So the moral of the story there is don't tuck yourself out trying to beat a steam engine, because a computer will whoop your ass at whatever you're trying to do, or a steam engine for this matter. Gunnar, do you want to get into your announcement?
Yeah. So this is my big announcement. Drum roll, please. Okay, so in the next 2 months, I'm doing 2 new gallery exhibitions.
Woo! Mr.
Yeah.
Danger, tell us more.
So for the month of May, I will be exhibiting in Greenpoint, Brooklyn, doing a huge show of paintings. More info on that soon. And then in the month of June, I will actually be opening up a crazy space 2 blocks away from where I'm living now, on Manhattan, right next door to an actual existing gallery. I'm opening a storefront, opening Pop Gun Art as its own gallery, and I'm showing the work of Whit Fetter, who is a Stanford painter. He graduated a couple years ago, and he's just been cranking out these paintings in his studio and working for an artist. And Katie Couric wrote an article about him. The paintings are beautiful, and they've never been shown before. And I'm getting to do solo debut show.
Wow, with his works in your gallery.
Yeah.
And this is a permanent gallery or a pop-up gallery?
It's a pop-up gallery, but this is by far the best piece of real estate that I've ever had. And it's nice. And it's right next to a gallery, and it's right next to my house. So very convenient.
Super convenient. You're right there. Dude, this is big news. So tell me about this show. So the gallery sounds incredible. And you're doing that in the month of June. So for the month of May, tell me about some of the works that are going to be. Can we get a little teaser about some of the works that are going to be in the gallery?
Yeah. So the other artists are still top secret, but a lot of the pieces will be from my own recent series. And the whole sort of like theme of the show will be sort of relating the 2 ideas of intimacy and ephemerality, thinking about kind, warm, loving moments, and also thinking about how quickly those things are to fizzle out or fly away,
Wow.
So my most recent painting that I had is from like the scene in the Muppets where the dog, Rolf the dog, is playing the piano, and he's playing the song Up and Away, and the candelabra on the piano actually like a rocket ship just like bursts off.
I have seen this work. I'm a big fan. It's cool, but I didn't know some of the background of that. So that's fascinating to hear directly from the artist what you're gonna be doing there.
And dude, it's just enough context. Like, you don't see the Muppet, you only see like the piano and the candelabra.
Sure.
It's just focusing on that one little moment. But speaking of big announcements, you also have a big announcement to share with the audience.
Do I?
Yeah, you do. Ladies and gentlemen, Jack McManus is pregnant.
Yeah. What? Excuse me?
Tell us more about it, Jack.
Well then, I have many questions. I have many questions.
Well, we all
That's one hell
know
of a way to
that,
find out. From my friend on a Clubhouse call.
you know, that's yeah, life is all about those big moments where you go through this physical challenge, and something that's just
Sure.
physically taxing, and you're gifted with something beautiful, the joy of life. And
Joy of life.
if
Who's the
the
mother? Who's
reasons
the mother? Do we know the mother?
that you had it independently.
Oh,
You,
okay. Thank you. Thanks for the clarification.
yeah, it was by your own volition.
Okay.
But
I am
well,
creating a test tube child.
exactly, in
Yeah.
your own test tube.
In my own body of temple. Yeah. Temple of body.
What I wanted
Excuse
to
me.
say is that you talked about Vince Vaughn earlier, and there is an amazing movie, and by amazing I mean probably like six stars out of 10. It's like it's fine. It's like all right, but it's Vince Vaughn, and
Yeah.
the premise of the movie is that he donated to a sperm bank like
Like
500 times,
1,000 times, made $20,000.
and they accidentally gave all of his samples away, and
Turns
no
out
one
he
else.
had the healthiest sperm they've ever seen in their entire lives.
And he had like 500 kids.
And they made a summer camp together, and they're all half siblings. It's crazy. My man is a modern Genghis Khan. I mean,
yeah,
talk about conqueror of lands and purveyor of nut. Like, holy shit, dude, that's insane. So, yeah, I'm Vince Vaughn now. Apparently, I'll take it. I mean, he's pretty successful, dude. That doesn't sound like half bad of a.
do you have a name picked out?
Julius, in honor of Julius Caesar, the great conqueror of lands and slaughterer of the Gauls.
Terrell has been playing FIFA nonstop, and his character is named Julius. And
That's got to be
Julius
irritating as hell.
And it's very interesting. And his back of his jersey says Jewel, but it's spelled Juul.
Jesus freaking Christ! Yeah, I'm completely unsurprised.
But
Good old Terrell Edwards is quite the character. So yeah, I'm apparently pregnant now. So that's a huge announcement.
you heard of it.
So,
But
Gunnar, I want to get into our last topic that we're going to discuss here today with our last couple minutes, and it's right hand theory. Can you tell us more about what right hand theory is?
oh yeah. Okay, so like I said earlier in the episode, like I've tried like 5 times to pick up the guitar and really master the craft, right? As people may know, I was a drummer in a punk band back in the day, Jean-Michel Basketball in New Orleans. But
Very prolific punk band.
yeah, it's either a reference,
or you don't get it. Yeah, that's how it works.
And back in the day, I also tried to pick up the guitar many times and sort of like slay the axe, you know what I mean? And never really could get it to work. But I've been watching a lot of these videos recently that are just with my favorite, musicians. Like I saw one with like St. Vincent and this dude, and it's called Guitar Moves, and they sort of explain these cool little nifty tricks that they have on the I don't know, what are other idioms for the guitar? I only know the axe. That's my favorite
axe. One. That's probably the most 80s hair metal way you could have put that. So I think we're going to stick with that.
But here's the main premise is that most of what looks impressive on the guitar is being done by the left hand, right? You have like the fingers going up and down the frets and holding things and moving into like weird like Star Trek looking symbols and things, right? Spreading farther than you've ever seen a hand spread before. But actually a lot of the work that's going into making that sweet sultry sound we know as music is coming from the left hand. And it's not just a simple strum, it's not just a plucking of a chord, but it's a rhythm and it's a flow, and you have like 3 fingers all doing different things, doing polyrhythms too. And it almost becomes like the heartbeat that moves that autonomous being, You're holding everything in place on the right hand, and you're doing all the flipping.
Sure.
Left hand is the thing that's sort of thumping it along,
Interesting.
So
I think what we want to leave our listeners with this week as we approach, 5:30 Central is I would love to think about what you have in your life that's the right hand and the left hand. What's the left hand doing all the flashy work, and then who are the people or the things in your life that are doing that right hand work of just really, driving it along, the heartbeat of your life. Mr. Don Jay, it's been a pleasure. That was certainly something you could have done. This has been Double Trouble with J&G. My name is Jack.
And I'm Gunnar, and we're going to cut it off before we hit 5:31 because that is our strict deadline.
Boom! See you guys next week.